Okay, you're very welcome to this webinar, which has been prepared for the 2024 Pricing for the Planet event, which is kicking off the 2nd of November. Before we start, I'll let each of the contributors introduce themselves. So Candice, I hand over to you.
Thank you, Andy, and nice to meet you, everyone. So my name is Candice. I've been at Decathlon in Lille headquarters for nearly 2.5 years now. And before that, I used to be a strategy consultant in Paris for 4 years. I'm now heading customer engagement for sustainability at Decathlon. So my role is basically to be a connector between sustainability experts, marketing experts, and compliance team, so that our sustainable product not only meets regulatory standards, but also stand out in the market and make the difference for a customer. And ending to you, Noel.
Thank you, Candice. So, hi, everyone. I'm also working for Decathlon for the last 2.5 years. So I'm in charge of pricing and promotion strategy. This is my role as a director. And I'm really happy to support Candice in this journey of Decathlon becoming the most sustainable brand on earth.
Great. Thanks, Noel. So just quickly, I'm Andy O'Brien. I'm from EpicConjoint, a conjoint market research firm. So kicking off, there's 3 sections to this presentation. So firstly, we'll do a quick intro to our businesses, then talk about the background to the project and the key questions, and then discuss the findings. So given I've got the microphone, I'll kick off first. So Epic is a conjoint analysis market research tool. We've conducted 900 projects in pricing across the world, across multiple verticals. We also have a very strong sustainability agenda, working with obviously the Pricing for the Planet, also Irish Trees, which is replanting of trees, and finally working with disadvantaged people through the Pigland House. I'll hand over to you, Candice, now to talk about Decathlon.
Thank you, Andy. So just to give you a bit of context on Decathlon, the brand has been founded in 1976 in the north of France and is a family-owned company. And even if we started as a retailer, our singularity is really that we cover all the life cycle of the product, from the product design to sales, and even now resale with our second-hand offer. And last year, we proudly reached 441 million sport enthusiasts across the world, in more than 60 countries, both in-store and online, with our network of 1,700 locations worldwide. And with more than 100,000 teammates, we are really dedicated to making sports accessible and enjoyable for all. And we ranked as the 3rd largest sport brand worldwide, achieving over 16 billion in annual sales last year. If we go to the next slides, thank you. As I mentioned, Decathlon reaches millions of people and produce a vast range of products. So this gave us a unique responsibility and a crucial role to play in driving a more sustainable world and industry. So our new company strategy set 2 years ago now really positions sustainability as one of our main pillars for the next year. And our ambition is really to make Decathlon a beacon of light for a sustainable future, helping to elevate market standard for sustainability. Again, to the next slide, please. This strategy is really backed with strong commitments. We have a target to reach net zero by 2050. This means that we have to reduce our carbon footprints. And for that, we have 3 main levers to limit the impact of climate change. The first one is really to decarbonize our footprints, working both on our value chain, for example, helping our supplier to switch for renewable energies to reduce their own footprint, but also working on eco-designing our product to reduce emissions. And then second pillar is really how to create a sustainable offer and design for circularity. That means products that last longer, that are more repairable and more recyclable, so that we also reduce waste. And last but not least, for sure, we have a big opportunity to scale up circular business model, meaning second-hand and rental and repair, to be able to change the way our customer consume sports. This is really important for us. And if we deep dive on the first pillar, our products represent today nearly 80% of our carbon footprint, which is quite huge. And this is why for more than 10 years now, we've been working on eco-designing them, meaning reducing their environmental impact over their entire life cycle. And this is really something that we have close to our hearts at Decathlon. And last year, we reached more than 40% of our projects eco-design in 2023. So this is really an important part of our range, and this goes more and more increasing. But the question here is, how do we valorize that effort in our communication? With what claim does it make sense to a customer? And what is the impact that it has on their willingness to pay for our products? And I think, Andy, this is where you comes in.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So when you're looking at questions like this, there's a number of options you can use for the research. Number one, you can talk to focus groups. You're getting great feedback direct from the customer. But sometimes it's difficult to get them to understand what they really would respond to, and they'll generally tell you what they think they want to hear, and also it's regularly not quantitative data, but it is fast, which is very important. There's other methodologies like econometrics, A/B testing, each with their strengths, but we deploy Conjoint. And we believe Conjoint is really valuable for this type of study because it's testing new claims versus the current market. It helps you get a ranking for each of the claims and also understand what kind of price the consumers are willing to pay. And then finally, it's more quantitative than the likes of focus groups. And when you're doing it with the right businesses, you can move at quite a speed to get these results quite quickly. So this was clearly the objective. Then we wanted to deploy Conjoint, so then we had to determine what are the messages that Decathlon wanted to test, and what did they want what new messages and what existing messages did they want to test.
Actually, we wanted to test 4 different types of claims on sustainability. The first one being around material, to see how customers react to the different type of material that we are using in our textile products, meaning traditional materials compared to organic materials and recycled materials. The second one that we wanted to test is sourcing, meaning where we are producing our products. And for that, we wanted to test 2 levels of granularity. The first one is just the mating parts, and the second one is a more detailed one that we have to display in some countries, such as France, because it becomes mandatory, and we wanted to see how the customer react to that too. Third one is the certification and label that we could have on some of our products around fair trade, GOTS, Ecotex, to see if it has really an added value for the customer in terms of trust, but also in terms of pricing. And last but not least is really around the footprint of our products. Does it worth sharing the impact reduction that we have on the product or not? Is it too technical for the customer or not? So that's the 4 main topics that we will cover from a sustainability point of view in this survey.
Yeah. So thank you. I think that it's very important to review things that the consumer can actually get exposed to. That's why in our set of competitors, we wanted to have things that represent basically a spectrum of different retailers, different value proposition that people can actually shop from when it comes to this specific product. And on top of the brand, of course, just to continue in that direction of consistency, we were also testing price points that would span from 5 to 25 euros, which is where we see a lot of the business today in Europe materializing when it comes to the t-shirt that is the object of this test. Back to you, Andy.
Okay, so you can see a significantly a large set of data points that we really wanted to test. So this is what a conjoint can look like from a choice card perspective. So what we're doing is we're presenting a product which we've, let's say, neutralized to be the same type of product for all the three choices, and then we're alternating the brand and all the different claims that are made underneath. How Conjoint works is that you present these in front of the client or the customer, you let them select their product they choose, and then after that you're rotating the different variations on each of the elements and sending it to hundreds of different customers to be able to then isolate what are the key features that people are choosing on most occasion, and also what are the price points that people are willing to pay for each of those combinations. In the end, you should end up with the perfect product. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the findings. So for the first question was, what claims can encourage shoppers to choose sustainable options? We first want to rank all the different claims and into their same buckets and see how the customers of different age groups responded to those. So the first thing you'll notice is that brand and price is a significant part of the decision making for every group effectively. Okay, so that's the first thing. But then the second thing you notice is that the ESG measures or the ESG messages do have an impact on purchase. You can see between 30 and 35% in some markets, or in some age groups. So this is quite, let's say, could have been quite unexpected. Candice, I don't know, what was your initial impression when you saw this result?
I think it was quite encouraging for us to see that nearly 1/3 of the purchasing decision was made on the sustainability claims. The only thing is, honestly, I thought that younger people will be more intentional on sustainability claims, and the fact is this is not that obvious, so that was something that surprised me at first.
Okay, and then we followed on and we were able to split this by country, and you can see as well, which was also quite surprising, is that generally across the countries it is also quite similar behavior from the customers in each of the age groups. Again, Candice, was this a surprise?
I think that was not that much a surprise on those countries. I'm pretty sure that if we had opened this survey in other countries, which are not European countries, such as India, China, or even the US, we will see more disparities on the results. But there, I think this confirms what we already looked on other customer survey, that between Spain, France, and Germany, most of the time we have the main topic coming in, that is to say production, certification, and material in most cases.
Okay. So when we dive down a little bit deeper into some of these broad categories, we can see the actual impact of each of the claims made. So there's a couple that we're going to pull out now. The first one is around the location where the product is produced. And you can see that made locally was the most powerful claim, okay? Compared to the most basic claim, which is, in a lot of cases would be the standard on products like this in the market. We also see that say that the externalities of some of the production methods are understood by the consumer, and you can see that generally people are choosing to have a product which doesn't have these microplastics or microfibers. So that's, again, I guess, a very encouraging thing. And then finally, on the logos or the accreditation, you can see that despite fair trade being there both times, it's really the greater description of what this means to the end benefiter of fair trade that actually does the best. But in general, you'd say that the claims are not really hugely different from each other in terms of performance. So we would imagine that these aren't necessarily on their own going to make a huge impact on the performance of the brand. So following on from that, we let's say the value of Conjoint is you can then combine that into one product, all those key features that are the highest performers, to try and design the ultimate product and see how will that ultimate product actually perform in the marketplace, and what kind of price premium, if possible, it could be charged. Okay, so Noel, I'll hand over to you for this next slide.
Thank you. So I think to me, there's an element of surprise, to be honest, because I was not expecting the sustainable claim to be able to drive such increase in volume. And I think volume is something that, you know, most retailers, industrial nowadays, would really be happy to find a way to drive. Right? We see that in many industries. So I think this is also very reassuring, because this directly links to the fact that consumer sees the additional value that these qualities in the product can bring to their utilization of the product. And then if we go to another slide, maybe we can look at it from the other part of the equation of sales, which is really, can we put a cash amount, a cash value on this? And here also we've been able to identify that, yes, there are differences when it comes to price positioning according to the level of sustainability features that we can put into the product. So here what we wanted to show the audience really is that, yes, we see that from the start there's differences in terms of brand value, right, between us and other competitors. But brand value, even though we have seen in the previous slides that it is the major component of purchase decision, it can be traded off against sustainable claims. And that is also something very important to remember here. It is something that can help us establish our brand through how sustainable we appear to our customer.
On my side, the main takeaway that I take is really how to keep things simple to the customer, because we've seen in this survey that sometimes by giving more and more information to the customer to be transparent, sometimes it has a bit of contrary effects, meaning the customer is quite has a fatigue from what he or her is saying. And I think this is super important to be sharp and to share the most important information to the most. So I think this is one of the main learnings. And the second one is really how to be more pedagogical and educational in the content that we share. We see this example with the fair trade label. Just two different sentences has different impacts, have different impacts on the way it impacts the customer. So I think this is really important for us as a communication team for the brand.
And for you, Noel?
Yeah. Well, of course, it's going to complement what Candice has said. I do believe that education is a major need when it comes to sustainability. When you look into the study, we see that sustainability has so many different aspects to it that we need to help the consumer understand what we mean by sustainability. We have seen social aspect, we have seen environmental aspect behind this notion, right? And all of that doesn't have the same impact when it comes to demand power or to pricing power. So to me, really, the learning was we need to tell the customer what we mean when we say something like that after only that we have identified what matters to them. And I'm pretty sure, it is not a one-size-fits-all kind of study. For sure, another company in another vertical would have different drivers that they can identify. And really, to me, at the end, I would really love to link that back to the fact that brand remains, throughout different studies that we have seen, the key driver, the number one driver of purchase decision and pricing decision. And therefore, I think what this study should show is that what we need to turn around businesses and make sure that we are aligned with what our planet can digest, we need a shock of offer. It is the responsibility of brands to see that, because who we are is the main reason why people follow us. We need to lead them toward a direction that is going to be sustainable in the long run.
Okay. So if I continue on, guys, with a couple more questions, if that's okay, just to make sure that we extract as much learnings as possible. So to continue, Noel, for you, how would you take these learnings back into the business to drive change? Like let's say what's your next stop now that you have these results?
I mean, this has a lot of implication, of course, when we come to the commercial offer that we put in front of the customer. Candice has said it very, very clearly. There are some aspects that are around communication, which is how do we show the great value that already exists in our product. And the other part goes to the product managers. How do we understand what really is going to drive our singularity tomorrow, and try to reflect on that? Of course, we'll have to do the math to see how much we can really afford, right? And also that will have consequences on the bigger scale in terms of industrial capabilities, for sure.
Okay, great. And Candice, for you, so obviously this is proprietary information that Decathlon is now sharing with the market. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're sharing this, given this insight would usually give Decathlon quite an advantage?
That's a good question, but I think it's really in our DNA at Decathlon to work in collaboration with other partners on the market, and in particular when coming to sustainability. From the very start of our action on sustainability, we have always worked hand in hand with other industry players or even public authorities to make real progress together. And I think this come in the same idea to share with the market and to be able to collaborate with some other brands on that, because I believe that when coming to sustainability topic and technical topic, the more aligned we are with other brands, the easier it will become for the customer to make better choice when consuming sports or even other products. So I feel like it's really important for us to share this insight with the markets.
Staying with you, Candice, so what do you think are the biggest hurdles to implement some of these findings within your business?
I think one of the main challenge that we are feeling today is really to find the right balance between technical elements and all the constraints that we have from a regulatory perspective, which oblige us to give more and more detail on the technical parts and really adapt to what the customer are really understanding and interested in. So this is really how to find the right balance. And as I said before, also something about finding the right balance between being the more transparent possible and giving the right level of information to the customer, so that it's not basically you have all the information and then you decide what is important for you. So we really have a role to play there, I think.
Okay. And can I go to you, Noel? So if you are helping another business to conduct similar type of research, like what are the learnings, or what sort of advice would you give a business who also now want to understand the value of their ESG claims?
Yeah, well, I think I kind of addressed this in one of my previous intervention today, which is, first, you need to know your customer. Now more than ever before, trying to find a sweet spot between what you can drive and what they want, what would make the difference towards your company instead of your competitor, and try to find what is the monetary value of that advantage. Really, typically in sustainability, we are facing with, really tough arbitrage. And this is exactly the kind of study you need to understand from your perspective, not from a industry average, but from your perspective. Are there some, sweet spot where both the customer and your company could both find satisfaction in driving something new to the market? That would be my recommendation.
Okay. And Candice, to you, the same question. So I'd say a smaller business who now wants to begin on this journey of making, let's say, designing their products or making the right claims, and they want to do some kind of market research. What would you suggest to them as a start point?
I think try to keep it simple and to start step by step, because if you go for all the claims at the same time, sometimes it's difficult to know which are really impacting or not. So I will really advise to start little and then to go step by step, because I think this is really important. And this is maybe one thing that we could improve on this survey that we did together, to be a bit more focused on some topic, and so that you can easily have action plan after that.
Yeah. Okay. No, very, very clear. Okay, look, so I want to thank you both for your inputs and your honest answers, which I hope will be of value to the listeners from businesses who are either on the same journey or beginning that journey. And I thank you to the listeners, so the people who've tuned in, and hope that this session was useful and provided some new ideas on ESG and following this. Yeah, if you have any questions, obviously you can reach out to any of us, I imagine. On LinkedIn, etc. But other than that, thank you very much for tuning in, and best of luck on your journeys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.